What it do, fam, and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe, and let's get into it. So this portion of Soundtrack to My Life really begins the journey of me discovering music for myself. We're talking around, about 13, 14, so we're talking around like 94. This is the first time I was ever introduced to rock music. Shout out to Antonia. She's walking around with her Walkman, and I'm like, what are you listening to? And she puts the earphones on my ear, and it was probably Nirvana that I heard first. And I was like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like, it was just, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like from the moment she put the earphones on my ears, and I found out about that station, 96X, shout out to Memphis, the game changed. The game entirely changed. I started doing mixtapes, trying to get some of my favorite songs so I wouldn't have to wait for them to come on the radio all the time. That included bands like Sponge, Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, Smashing Pumpkins, Candlebox. Please don't sleep on Candlebox. Me and my husband just had a conversation about this the other day. Like, I feel like they're so underrated. Dave Matthews Band. I hear somebody sighing right now. Let me tell you something right now. A lot of people like to crap on Dave, and I am not here for it. There are people that are like, oh, well, the band's super dope, but I just don't like Dave's voice. I understand that. I know people that don't like the way Fantasia sings. So, I mean, I get it. Vocals, it's subjective. To each his own. Carter Beauford is the dopest drummer, okay? The dopest drummer. I'll fight you over it. Like, don't even get me started. 311 and Red Hot Chili Peppers probably have my favorite, like, drummer-bass player combinations. Not only was I being exposed to 96X, but I was also starting to pay attention to hip-hop. So from 94 until I graduated high school, like, it was just a nice little mix that I was getting. I remember my brother, who was a producer before he passed away, he had the full CD case of all kinds of hip-hop, including 666 and Wu-Tang, Outkast, Common, a Black Star. We cannot forget about Goody Mob either, but he helped introduce me to. It was also like the best time in music for all genres. Friends of mine that listened to country that were hipping me to like people like Shania Twain. I was telling somebody today, Garth Brooks was freaking hot. You have so many artists that are out at this time that anywhere you turn, music was just super dope. I was just immersed in this, you guys. And I'm grateful for it because now when I go back and listen, it's like these songs bring instant smiles to my face. It's amazing. It's amazing music. It's timeless. I had technically started writing early on. I was probably about 5. We had some rhyming encyclopedias. So I remember taking those rhymes and trying to put melodies to them. But I would say I didn't start to really write songs until around this time, because I was being exposed to everything at this time. For instance, Queen Latifah and UNITY, probably one of the most, if not the most, influential hip-hop songs I've ever heard in my entire life. I feel like she was a direct influence for the first song that I wrote, which was, kind of in that unity vibe. Okay, let me see if I can remember. Racism hanging out on every corner, and just because it's there, we don't run for the border. No, you gotta learn to stand up to it. If you have any doubts, act like a tennis shoe and just do it. That's what others did over 40 years ago. They didn't take it no more. They just said no. All the violence in the world, I can't take it. We gotta ask the Lord to see us through, or we won't make it. We gotta stick together through thick and thin and stormy weather. And no matter what happens, we've all gotta come together. What's funny is the first person that I ever performed an original song in front of was my grandmother. And it was that hip hop song. So, this is a grandma we're talking about, like, that's probably not really into hip hop. So, for her to completely absorb the words and absorb the feel that I was going to, and then to spit some straight encouragement to me after that, oh my gosh, trajectory, like, confidence through the roof. Nobody can tell me nothing. I'm writing songs and singing for the rest of my life. Boom, done. Let's get into kind of what I bought first. I remember playing my Super Mario World Nintendo 64 and completely repeat listening to Jagged Little Pill. I mean, cover to cover on repeat, playing Super Mario. Like, I thought I was having like the best Friday nights on the planet. I just remember her being a huge influence because up until this point, I really only read about stream of consciousness writing, and to see somebody actually execute on it in a way that I just was like blown away by. I also appreciated Jewel for that. I personally loved her poetry book, so these ladies were very influential to me. If you really want to get to know what I'm talking about, I suggest that you check out my Spotify. That's right, I've got a Spotify. Let me tell you, I have been curating music all this time now just so I can keep a hold of all these good memories. So I've got a playlist that is all 90s alternative. I've got a playlist that is all old school 90s hip hop. We're talking over 400 tracks on each playlist. Please go follow, please listen, just hit shuffle and tell me every track don't hit you somewhere good. Follow me on Spotify, let me know how much you like the playlist. Up until this point, it's really all church based. The only people that really know that what I can do go to my church or go to one of my sister churches. So I will never forget my high school talent show. I sang Killing Me Softly, the Lauryn Hill version. And I mean, to get that reception afterwards, first of all, your girl won first place. They made me split the first place prize with a band because it was technically like a talent contest, but like a battle of the bands. So they thought it was only fair if they let like one band win and one vocalist win. I believe that's how it went down. Shout out to Kyverville High School. Y'all let me know if y'all remember how that went down. But yes, I was in my bag, dude, and I loved it. But it wasn't just about winning first place. It was about the compliments that I got afterwards. It was the looks that I got afterwards. Like, people really didn't know about that part of my life because they didn't go to church with me. So it was just validation that it wasn't just my family and my close friends that enjoyed my singing. It now translated to, yes, strangers enjoy this. So you could really do something with this. Well, guys, that is the end of that. You have followed my entire journey from a toddler dancing to Twisted Sister on MTV to a semi-adult getting a standing O at a high school talent contest, and all the goodies in between. The next phase we're going to talk about all of the music that I leaned on when I started adulting. You think you love music? You think you know how healing and how whatever music can be? Not until you start adulting. When you start adulting, it just hits all kinds of different. Well, you guys, thanks again for hanging out with me. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll check you later. Peace.